Hi, everyone. It's great to be with you tonight. My name is Bill Seaman. This is my 15th year as a high school counselor. It's my 8th year as a school counselor at Haddonfield Memorial High School. As are the other counselors, I greatly look forward to working with your sons and daughters on the post-secondary planning process. My part of the presentation is going to place focus on the Naviance student website, which is an extensive resource for college and career planning. The Naviance website can be accessed through the high school website, and students will log in using a username, which is an email address, as well as a password. Now, I thought the best way to talk about the Naviance website would be actually to explore it together. So I'm going to move on to the high school website. And first, I'll point out a few things here, and then we'll move on to the Naviance login screen and into the Naviance program. So I'm clicking on the Counseling tab. And in the Counseling website, I'll click on the Students tab. And just want to point out a few things that are on the 11th grade link there. On the left side there's a link to an 11th grade monthly planner, which will list tasks that students can complete at various points in the junior year. There's an 11th grade Naviance checklist, which involves a number of tasks that they'll complete in Naviance, which we'll look at together in a little bit. It also has a link for the post-secondary planning guide, which Mr. Holman will highlight later in the presentation. Going back to the Students tab, I'm going to move on to the link for NCAA, where you can find information about the NCAA Eligibility Center, which is an organization that determines eligibility for college athletics. Down towards the bottom, there's a link for the NCAA website, which is where a student can create an account, and they can review information about eligibility in terms of core coursework, GPA, and test scores. Let's move on to Naviance now. Here's the link for Naviance. And this will take us to a link that will lead us to the login screen, where I can type in the zip code. That will bring us to Haddonfield Memorial High School's login screen. And click Students. And this is where a student would log in. Now, students have been provided with their login information, but we understand that they might forget it from time to time, so we suggest they try to keep it in a safe place. But if they need to be reset at any point, we can always help with that. So they should just reach out to their counselor. So let's pretend that I logged in and I successfully made it into my Naviance account. I set up an account with my name in it so we can explore it freely tonight. So this is the home screen. And if we follow that down towards the bottom, just want to point towards a list of resources and links that are provided there. There are links for the testing websites, ACT and SAT. There are financial aid websites, the FAFSA, free application for federal student aid, the state financial aid website, Higher Education Student Assistance Authority. There's scholarship websites, various websites that students might want to know are there. Move back to the home screen. On the left, there are various Twitter handles for accounts that students might be interested in following. Okay, if we follow along the top, we have some tabs. There are also some quick links here on the home page. So some of the ones that students are going to use very often are going to be the I'm thinking about link. Seniors will use the I'm applying to link. Let's move into the colleges tab. We'll go to the home screen. And if I scroll down a little bit, we'll see the part that seniors will use when they're working through applications, requesting recommendations, and transcripts. On the left side, we have some scholarship information. I click on Scholarship List, and then I click on Local and Regional Scholarships. We'll see a number of scholarships that that our department has become aware of, and we list here for students to take a look at. Down towards the bottom, we have a section for college visits. Now at this time, it won't have any schools listed because these take place in the fall. But these are great opportunities where college representatives will either visit our campus or under the current pandemic circumstances holds virtual events with our students where it's only our students and they get to interact and ask questions and hear presentations from the college representatives. Moving back to the college home screen. On the left side, we'll see a handful of research tools where students can look up colleges that meet certain criteria. We'll take a look at one right now. Here's the advanced college search. So if I follow along the top, we'll see various criteria that students can use to do a search to narrow down a list based on these criteria. You have school type, which has various ways they can narrow things down, location, so they can narrow it down by region or by states. The student section will allow them to narrow it down by size, number of students. The admissions tab would allow them to narrow it down by how competitive the admissions is. Student can look up athletics. They're looking for a certain sport at a certain division. And a very popular way to search for schools would be by college major. They can enter the name of the major. Can be narrowed down by cost, as well as various special programs. Now, as the student's completing a search, they may know what they're looking for in some areas, but not other areas. So we encourage them to focus on the areas that they feel like are important to them. And you can always do multiple searches. You can always do a search one way and then change it to either try to expand or narrow down the list. So at the end, the student would click View Matches, and then the list of schools would come up. From that point, they could take a look and look at schools that they want to learn more about. And from there, if they're interested in a school, they can move that school over into that Thinking About section to save a list that they can look at later on, and they can continually build it and have it there to go back to over time. Let's take a look at the I'm Thinking About list. So let's say I had done some research and I found some schools that I liked. I have a wide variety of here. We have a county college. We have several state colleges. We have an Ivy League school. We have a vocational school. If somebody's interested in becoming a chef or pastry chef at Culinary Institute. If I want to go from there and I want to take a look further at a school, let's say the College of New Jersey. I click on the school. It pulls me to a page where there's plenty of additional information within the Naviance website. There are tabs all across the top, all across the bottom. Lots of information. Right underneath the school name, you can find the link to the school's website, which we highly recommend students take a look at. Naviance has excellent information. I want to look at the programs that a school has. I can take a look at all the areas of study they have. However, within the school's website, if I went to the TCNJ website, it would have much more detailed information about the programs, departments, majors, requirements, and coursework and program philosophy. A very helpful part of the Naviance school page is the admissions section right here. So as I pull the screen down, we're now looking at what we call a scattergram. All of the marks on the screen represent Haddonfield students who've applied to this school. Now, a student wouldn't see the applicants' names, but they can see on the left what their GPA was, and it uses our GPA scale, so there's no need to convert to a 4.0 as the 100-point scale there. And on the bottom, you can see test scores, SAT scores. Can be changed to ACT if a student took the ACT. And this is a really helpful tool because the student can visualize, where they fit based on these two factors. Now, the counselors also realize these are only two factors of many. It does not include the application, recommendations, resume, any other number of factors that might go into the admissions process. However, it can be a very helpful tool when a student is trying to take a look at the range of schools that they're looking to apply to. Okay, so I think that wraps up the colleges tab. Let's take a quick look at the careers tab, and that's also going to lead into Mr. Fluharty's presentation because he'll be discussing career planning as well. So on the left side, there are some ways to explore careers. If I know a career that I'm looking for, I can type it in. And from there, if I click on the career, it'll have all kinds of information about tasks that you have to complete, type of education that you need, wages. It'll take you to potential majors, and also similar careers that you might also find interesting if you were looking for that career. Some others that are similar might be in your ballpark as well. If I move down towards the bottom of the careers tab, there's a few assessments. The one that we recommend that juniors do especially is the Career Interest Profiler. Okay. The student clicks on the Career Interest Profiler. It's going to take them to a series of questions. It should only take a student about 15 or 20 minutes, although there are a large number of questions. They'll mark whether they like, dislike, or feel neutral about a variety of tasks. And at the end, it's going to match their results with career themes that are based on the Holland codes. If anybody can remember the strong interest inventory, that was based on the Holland codes. So this is a new version for Naviance. So they'll be matched up with Holland codes. And then if they click further into the results, they'll get a list of careers that match up with those Holland codes. And from there, the students can take a look at the careers and learn about that information that I mentioned a few moments ago. And it can help in their self-exploration in terms of trying to match their interests and skills and talents with potential career fields. Well, that rounds out my presentation. Again, it's a pleasure being with you. And Mr. Fluharty will be up next to talk a little bit more about careers.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Stephen Fluharty, and I'm one of the counselors here at the high school. I have been working for Haddonfield for about 7 years. I spent 5 years with the freshman population, and now I've been with the upperclassmen for about 2 years. I'm thrilled to be here speaking to you about the college planning process. I will be going over 3 things in my presentation. Going over how to choose a college major, how to do research on specific major requirements for colleges, and highlighting our department activity for their junior year. Our child is having difficulty in choosing a college major and discovering career opportunities. It is a big question for the child to tackle as they begin the planning process for their future. It's a perfect opportunity for the child to focus on their interests, strengths, and values, and how they can apply it to their future goals related to their career paths. We have two different career assessments in areas that I highly recommend the child to complete at this point in their school year. We have the career interest profile, which captures your child's interests to help identify their personality traits and potential career path. It takes about 15 minutes to complete, and there are 16 questions about their interests. The career profile will help to map their results based on their personality traits. It will help to learn about their personality and how they can apply it to their potential career path. You will be better informed about your child's career planning process with career recognition based on your child's personality. That's really the purpose of the career interest profile. Another one I recommend would be the career cluster finder. It helps you identify your child's interests and discover career cluster. Remember, there are 16 different career clusters, and that could contain career of their interest. Your child will be answering questions about what they like, what they don't like, and the question related to school subjects, personal qualities, hobbies, and interests. And areas for showing your child top 4 best career collection out of 16 total. It will be the top 4 with specific region and career paths, including as well as academic planning included, which can be very helpful. And it's perfect time because course selection conferences are just around the corner. You, your child, and your counselor will meet together to review your child's academic performance and develop an education plan. And the perfect time for your child to get together with their counselor to talk about what career path they might be thinking about. Remember, your child will be a senior next year, which means a lot of their graduation requirements are already done, which means a lot of room for flexibility to take classes, specific classes that relate to their interests, and also that can help to plan for their potential college major, which is a really good opportunity. You could always consult with us in Naviance for additional information if you need that. How to research for specific major requirements. It is very important to conduct research to fully understand each college's individual requirements for admission. Many colleges, especially the more selective colleges, may have specific academic requirements for the major. Specific requirements could be related to nursing, engineering, business, and liberal arts. The best source of information will be to review the admission website for each college that your child may be interested in applying to. I'm going to show you an example with Villanova with their specific requirements. We're going to go on to Villanova website and then click on Apply. And then go to undergraduate program and click on first year applicants, which is typical for a major college website. And to give you information relating to deadlines, application requirements to help you stay on top with the application requirements. And we're going to go down to the bottom and just see the specific requirements for major. For example, with school and business, have had curriculums in high school, engineering they require business, but nursing they require biology and chemistry. That's where you could get that information from. And also, you could always talk to the admission rep that they come to the high school in the fall. You could ask them that specific question too. I'll be talking a little bit more about that. Open houses. When spring shuts around the corner, March and April are prime time of the year to go on open housing. You could do a tour of the college campuses. You could speak with the admission rep. You could get a lot of valuable information. And I'll tell you, it really helps when you and your child go out and explore the college. There's a lot of information out there, and it will help your child to figure out whether school would be a good fit or not. That's the best thing to do. And you get information about specific requirements for major. You could always consult with us for information as well. We're available to help. Counseling department activity for the junior. We always begin with the college fair. We have it in October. Typically, we've had it for about 75 years. It's one of the oldest college fairs in South Jersey. We're very proud of this program. We get about over 100 admission reps come to the high school and to go in the BGM, the library, and the classroom, and parents and juniors will be invited to come in and speak with the admission reps, personally one-on-one. Unfortunately, we could not have it for the past 2 years due to COVID pandemic, but we are very hopeful that we will have it in the future. Another thing, PSATs. Your child took them back in mid-October in the high school during the school day to take the test. It's a process SAT to give them a good preview of what to expect for the SATs, which they will take soon. They got their results back on December 7th. It is available through your child's College Board account. You can go on to the College Board account and review information regarding your child's test scores. College Board offers a lot of information. You could even see the question that your child got correct and wrong, and then explain why they got it wrong. You can see the original question, which is really helpful. College Board partnered with Khan Academy. Khan Academy offers free test prep to connect with College Board and be able to answer questions that you struggle with on the PSAT to help to prepare for the SAT. If your child does not have Khan Academy, I highly recommend to get one. And we have college admission reps coming to the high school in the fall between September through November. And your child will be getting announced of college reps that are coming to the high school in probably by September. And they can sign up for the admission rep through Naviance. And then you can come up here in the counseling office. The admission rep will give updates about the college campus and then give information related to the application. But it's a wonderful opportunity for your child to ask questions relating to what they're looking for in the school. These questions could relate to the application requirements, programs, major, campus life, like housing, sports, clubs, Greek life, financial aid, and application deadlines, and any information they may want to know about. And it's a great opportunity to build that connection with the admission rep. Children parents here tonight the council are all together to give out information relating to the colony planning process. Governors, review and concept planning. All the councils met with their junior individually throughout the months of January and February. We went over the resources of Navigare, and we taught your child how to use Navigare and how to use it as a resource. And we also talked about what school your child may be looking for in terms of type, location, population, major requirements, and the location and financial aid. All those factors to help narrow down their search and help to get information on what they're looking for. Course selection conference. This is my favorite time of the year. I really love to meet with students and their parents. We work as a team together to help the child with their academic planning. We will review their courses proposed for the senior, make sure the best match in terms of academic requirements, graduation requirements, and potential combination requirement too. We want to help prepare the child for their senior. We also go over testing information, extracurricular activities, summer programs, and we also talk together as a team about colony planning. So we work together. So like I said, it's my favorite time of the year, and I look forward to seeing everyone. Seeing information to investment, this is really important. As always, we encourage our students to update their resume throughout high school. We will be requiring students to update their resume, which some colleges may require for their application, and to help the teacher to write letters of recognition and getting summertime too. Seeing information too is actually a very valuable source of information that the council will be using to help with writing a letter of recognition in support of your child's application. Please note that the council will automatically write a letter of recognition for all of our students. For the senior information sheet, I like to call it the brag sheet because it's the opportunity for your child to highlight their best academic, personal qualities, important events, and experiences in high school, their accomplishments that they're proud of, and their favorite courses that they have taken so far. I always say to my students, the more information you put in your senior information sheet, the stronger the letter recognition will be for us. And also, the parent information sheet, you will be afforded the opportunity to share information about your child that you feel is important for us to highlight in our letter of recognition. It is optional, not required, but will be available in Naviance for you to fill out. You will be receiving an email from the counseling department in the spring about this. So we invite you to include information about your child. That's all I have to say tonight, and I thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak, and I look forward to working with all of you. I will be moving this presentation to Mr. Holman. Have a good night.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Elizabeth Cranston. I'm happy to be here with you tonight. This is always my favorite meeting of the year as we're starting to wrap things up with our seniors and celebrate with them all their great acceptances. We're making the transition now to our juniors and helping them explore their journey and helping them meet their hopes and their dreams and the colleges that they're hoping to be able to attend once they graduate from Hanfield. So tonight I'm going to spend a little bit of time just emphasizing different ways of exploring and connecting with colleges. I'm going to talk a little bit very briefly about financial aid, and then just a few little wrap-up suggestions to make from the view of a parent. I share with you that I am the parent of a senior in high school. So I can assure you there is another side to this, on the other side of all the process of applying, one that is very, very rewarding and fun to be at. So it takes a little bit of time to get there, but you definitely get there at the end. And my hope for all of you is that you enjoy sharing in this experience together and create some nice and long-lasting memories. Tonight I'm going to start with the idea of exploring connecting with colleges. And the reason why we really make sure that we want to put this out there is that it's so important to get to the depths of really understanding. This is where your child is going to go for 4 years of their life, maybe even a little bit longer. It is a process of them becoming who they are as a young adult. You want to make sure the atmosphere is challenging, but a safe one to take some risks and to really help them to understand who they are, what they're all about, who they want to become, prepare for their future, be a good community member, and explore their passions. So really taking the time to, both in person as well as virtually, depending on whatever your comfort level is, or doing both of those ways of looking at a school. We really want to make sure that is a big emphasis going into this spring semester, whether it's through an information session, a campus tour, a discussion group or chat, and in an academic session where you're focused in on a particular major, the opportunity for an interview, or attending an open house. These are all available to junior students right now and families so that you can really get to the understanding of, is this a good fit? And that's really a question for the students. Is this a really good fit for me? Do I see myself having success within this environment? So you're looking for those hidden gems. You're looking for the opportunity to get on campus and see the facilities, what the athletics are all about, what the residence halls look like, what the dining facilities are, what's a typical academic classroom, what the theater program might be all about, what any social aspects, what the outside space is available to the students so that they're connecting and having a good positive environment to figure out all these amazing things about themselves. One of the things that I really want to emphasize right now is the importance of the open house. The open house really gives a good in-depth understanding and observation of what the campus is all about. The campus tours are terrific, but you have one view from one student. So opening things up to an open house really gives you the opportunity to talk to many students. There's usually a tremendous amount of professors that are on campus. Admissions folks are there. Administration tends to be there. And really almost everything is open. So you don't always get to see everything on a campus tour, an individual campus tour. So having that accessibility to a lot of things in an open house is really, really important. You're able to do all these things right on the school website. You can go onto the admissions part of the website, the visit section of the admissions web part of the website, and be able to reserve your time. So it's something to definitely start to think about and how that's going to fit in through your spring and into your summer. Spring break is a great time to go and visit schools. Students are on campus, so it's really important for students to kind of be in that atmosphere because they are looking for that vibe. They're looking for, what does this make me, how does this make me feel when I'm around in this atmosphere around these students? And it can be different from your vibe as a parent, and it's important to, again, have those lines of communication open so that you're understanding from their perspective why they feel like this is a good fit and what they feel, how they feel they can be successful within this environment. But getting on campus allows them to do that. We really want to make sure students are asking good questions. So I often suggest that students get a good set of 5 or 6 questions that they're asking consistently from one school to another. And they will start to really hear the answers they want to hear, and also then be able to identify any red flags in any of the answers. It can be really easy for us as parents to ask those questions, but I really encourage you to hold back and really put that expectation on your child. It really is for their process of learning how to communicate and really learning how to decipher what's going to be important for them in a college experience, and making sure that they're taking the time to be able to explore that from their voice. So that's really sort of where we are right now, the understanding in a more in-depth way beyond just the surface information about a school, and using all of those resources to really help guide your student, and for your student to be able to really connect to make sure that this is a place that they want to apply to and potentially attend. I'm going to move over onto the financial aid part of things. We'll have a financial aid meeting in September of 2022. On this slide, you'll see the video presentation from September of 2021 in case you want to get a little head start on the process. The main things that you are in need of knowing right from the start is the forms that you will need to file. There are two forms potentially for families to file. The first one is the free application for federal student aid. That form all families will file should you want to look for financial aid from the government. That form will be available starting for your class on October 1st, 2022. And again, we'll have a meeting in September with financial aid representative who will be able to help you understand what that FAFSA is all about, how to file it, and the different sections of the form, and answer any questions that might be of confusion at that time. For the class of 2023, we use a tax return, what we refer to as prior year. So for your students, you will use your tax return from 2021 to file your FAFSA form. The second financial aid form is the CSS profile. That form is found on the College Board website. Not every school requires the CSS profile, and you only want to file the CSS profile should your school require it. It does dive deeper into your financial picture, and that is because those schools are awarding institutional non-federal aid to potential students. A good thing to do right now in terms of really understanding the financial process is that each school is required by the government to have what we refer to as the net price calculator. You can find these at any of the schools that you're interested in. Just Google net price calculator and the name of the school. It will come up, and it allows you to put in a financial profile and in return receive back some financial aid calculations that potentially might represent what your financial aid package would look like. It is a tool to use, and you can start using it right now so that you, again, are starting to understand the financial responsibility of this piece of things so that you can have a better picture moving forward and making decisions about schools to apply to. So the net price calculator on every school website, it's a good tool to start to utilize so that you have a clear picture at each school what the financials would potentially look like. When we're looking at financial aid, there are two parts to that financial aid. One is the merit-based aid, that is scholarships that a student might receive. That generally is part of the admissions review process, and they utilize the academic piece of things, GPA, test scores, just different things that they utilize through the academic piece of things to get that scholarship money, that free money that students do not have to pay back. The second part of financial aid is need-based aid, and that is, again, determined by the FAFSA form and potentially the CSS profile form for each school, and that is going to then result in grants, loans, work study, those types of financial aid programs that you will have to meet certain criteria in order to be eligible from filing the FAFSA form. So need-based aid, which results in scholarships, that is part of the admissions process. Very typically, it's an automatic part of the admissions process. So many students will find that with an acceptance letter, should they qualify, that they will receive their scholarship merit-based offer along with their admissions offer. A lot of families are interested in beyond, what you can do with that particular school, what other options are there for scholarships, and it's a lot of research. A lot of the scholarships and the amount of research that's required does not happen until senior year. So this slide just gives you some options to start to be knowledgeable about. But again, these won't come into play until senior year. We do have a very vibrant local scholarship program here at Haddonfield. Those local scholarships are put out from Mrs. Bozine in our office in usually mid-January of senior year. It's a big application process. Students do need to submit some financial information at that time, but it's a very involved process that is monitored here and helped out by Mrs. Bozine in our office, so that becomes available to all students, and there are all different types of scholarships that students may become eligible for. There are special interest scholarships. Those are usually on the school websites within the financial aid part of the website. So there might be a dance scholarship or community service scholarship, or a scholarship for students who are Eagle Scouts or have been in the Girl Scouts. So lots of different special interest scholarships are there. Every school is a little different in what they might be offering. So again, starting that process now and understanding, is there anything beyond the admissions review that a student might be able to apply to directly at the school website? Just to be knowledgeable about it now so that you're ready when it becomes time in senior year. On this slide, we also have a tremendous amount of these scholarship search engines and resources. They are, again, viable opportunities for students to tap into in their senior year. But by all means, some of them you are allowed to set up a profile even now as a junior, and it will start to ask questions to help determine eligibility for certain scholarships. And then it will send different scholarships that you might be able to apply to. Again, in senior year, you might find a few in junior year, but typically it is in senior year. One of the scholarships that I like a lot is through College Board. It's at the very bottom here. It's called Big Future Scholarship, and it's through their College Board account. And it's really a 6-step process of doing things such as creating a list in their College Board account, doing a search for a career, filing your FAFSA. There's certain steps, and each step a student accomplishes. They also utilizing Khan Academy for SAT prep. Each time a student completes a step, they're entered into a national drawing for a particular amount of money per step. So it's a really easy one to do. Again, they're hard to come by sometimes, these scholarships, but anything you can do to put yourself in the best financial situation is worth the time and the effort. So that's one that you might want to check out now, because that can be started now as a junior. Big Future Scholarship in the College Board. Our Naviance program, and as well as College Board, also offer scholarship search engines. So those are things that you can easily tap into as well. One of the things to be knowledgeable about for families who have gone through the process is that we do have some changes coming to the FAFSA for the 2023-2024 school year. So that is for your class, the class of 2021. The biggest change that we're going to be experiencing is that there will be a renaming of the number that families receive back from the federal government that tells them how much they can contribute to their child's education. So in the past, that was called our expected family contribution. Moving forward, we're going to change that language to student aid index. Let me just give you a quick understanding of what that means. If we have a school that costs $20,000, and a family from filing the FAFSA has what we refer to in the past as the expected family contribution, which will now become the SAI, the Student Aid Index, of $10,000. That remains a deficit of $10,000. That $10,000 is typically what a college would package for financial aid, depending on eligibility of federal programs, as well as any scholarships that a student might receive through their academic piece of things. Okay, so for new families, this will not be any different for you. For old families at EFC, that you're also very knowledgeable about, is changing now to the SAI. We are going to have a reduction in number of questions to make the process go a little bit further. They are eliminating discounts for parents with multiple students in college. That one's a little bit on the tough side. I myself have twins, so going in at the same time is going to be interesting when they're not going to any longer split the SAI. You will have an SAI for each individual student. And then you can see there's just a few other options coming down. Again, in our financial aid meeting in September, all of these things will be addressed in great detail, just a little bit of forewarning for you. Lastly, in our final thoughts, again, I just want to express how much joy I have received out of working with my daughter on this process, and I hope that you will experience that as well. I learned things about her that I did not know previously, and we did a lot of fun things through the process. One of my best memories, I think I'll have for the rest of my life, is going to the school that she's eventually going to enroll in, and taking her to a football game, her first college football game. Myself, my husband, and she, we did a tailgate event, and it was just a really fun time to be together and help seeing what this process is like for her through those eyes. So just little things to think about is that the importance of working as a team. It is so critical that you're having discussions that are really based on them taking the lead. Again, it's a process that would be easily for us as parents to jump in and kind of take over and to make things right. But it's an opportunity for them to really become the young adult that they are, and take the lead in making all their, the decisions, of course, with your guidance and your assistance and your help, but certainly with filling out their application information and working with us in the guidance in the counseling department, so that they are responsible for this process. Keeping those lines of communications open. I had made this mistake many times of springing a college conversation on my daughter and the most, inept time, and she would look at me like, what are you doing? Why are you asking me these questions right now? And of course, I'm coming from this really excited place of wanting to start these conversations, and I really had to learn how to meet her where she was, really to the point where we scheduled time together. So I would give her a little task, or I would ask her, on Sunday at 10 o'clock, can we do something in Naviance? But really, taking the time to give her the space that she needs, to be able to, feel comfortable and feel like she's ready to go with her, with any discussion that we might have had about the college process. We're always looking for the best fit. I can't stress that enough. College is super exciting to students. It is an opportunity for them to grow as people, and also prepare for their career. And they need to do that in an atmosphere that they really feel successful and safe in. So just really making sure that you're allowing your child to have that space to express what that best fit fits for them, is for them, and making sure that you're really listening to that process. Oftentimes we have a thought about what we think is going to be best for them, and sometimes it is the complete opposite in terms of what they feel is the best fit for them. So just being open and having those conversations can really go a long way in your relationship, and also making sure that you're finding the best place for them. So that flexibility, that supportive response, we encourage an openness to the process. Sometimes there are things out there that, you just didn't discover, and just by opening your mind, and just being willing to look beyond, any sort of boundary, sometimes something really interesting opens up. There's many different ways to get to your end result. And that openness can bring some really interesting things in for students that they've never really even realized was available to them. So openness is really important for them. one of the biggest things we want to get across for you tonight is to start early with the application process. The students that we see be the most successful are students who do a lot of their work through the summer months and come back pretty much ready to review their information and being able to send it out. The more time they spend on their essay in the summer in filling out the applications. And when we get back in September, we're ready to help them move into the next phase, which is actually submitting their applications. We see those students be able to manage their stress in a lot more manageable way than students who are sort of, up against a deadline and still having to write their essays even the night before. And that does happen. And it is a little bit source of a stress for us here as well. So our biggest piece of advice is to really, really have them start as early as process in the summer and really getting a lot of their work done. But more than anything, we hope you enjoy the journey. We are here as part of your team. We really, all of us in the counseling department really enjoy working with your sons and daughters and helping them find, where they want to be, who they want to become, and anything that we can do to support them. We want to be able to provide that for both you and them. So we thank you for joining us tonight. We really appreciate you taking the time to listen and work with us. We're always here to answer any questions and be part of your journey. Thanks so much.
Hello, I'm Jeff Holman, and thank you for attending Junior Parent and Student Night. I will begin my presentation by discussing the summer of 2022. There are various activities students may involve themselves in that strengthen college applications. Holding a summer job may not seem glamorous or exciting, but through a job, a student may exhibit a strong work ethic, firm sense of responsibility, high level of maturity, and leadership skills. A job that relates to a student's academic interest may be especially meaningful. If a student intends to pursue an engineering major, holding a job at the local engineering firm would be a great choice. If the student foresees a career in education, working as a summer camp counselor could give the student valuable experience in supervising younger students. Colleges throughout the country offer summer academic programs for motivated high school students. By attending these programs, students can display the ability to handle college-level work while also gaining insight into life on college campuses. Opportunities for community service may be numerous in the summer too. As I stated in regard to jobs, service that relates to a student's academic interest may be especially meaningful. If I am a STEM person, I may wish to volunteer at the Franklin Institute or a local hospital. If history is my passion, I may choose to volunteer at the National Constitution Center or the Historical Society of Haddonfield. Having a special talent can be a great asset in the admission process. If I am an athlete or musician, I may wish to attend a summer camp to enhance my talents and make myself a more desirable college applicant. Families may find that visiting colleges in the summer is more convenient than in the school year. Because visiting a college campus is one way of demonstrating interest in the school, and some schools consider the level of a student's interest when making admissions decisions, students should be sure that colleges are aware of any visits they have made to campuses. Before visiting a college, the student may wish to contact the admission office to learn about any activities or events available for visiting high school students. A student may also go to a college's website to register for admissions-related events. Because life can get busy in September for seniors, students who devote at least part of their summer to working on applications and essays give themselves the best opportunity to prepare applications and essays carefully and thoughtfully. Even if a student may not be sure about the schools to which he or she will apply, the student may wish to work on the common application. Let's go for a minute to the Common Application website. Currently, over 900 colleges accept the Common Application. Most likely, when seniors are applying to colleges, at least some of these colleges will use the Common App. Along with working on applications and essays, students may spend time in the summer preparing for the SAT and/or ACT. The SAT is offered in August, the ACT in July. The families of some students I have worked with have spent hundreds or even thousands of dollars on test preparation, classes, and tutors. These classes and tutors may be helpful, though the student I've worked with who improved the most on the SAT did not spend one penny on test preparation. What that student did was she went to the College Board website into the SAT section, and here she found practice tests and other practice exercises that helped her prepare for the SAT. The College Board and Khan Academy have collaborated to offer this free test preparation, which current juniors may wish to consider as a viable option. The last use of summertime I will mention is independent reading. Students who read widely in the summer can improve their verbal skills, which can result in higher SAT or ACT scores and prepare the student for the increased reading load the student will likely encounter in college. We will now discuss various application options students may have. There is no one timeline that's best for all students. For example, some students I have counseled started applying to schools in July before their senior year. Other students started to apply in March of their senior year. Different students may need different amounts of time to make good decisions about their college choices. Typically, colleges may offer 2 or more deadlines students may choose from. A deadline in November may be called the early decision or early action deadline. A college that offers this November deadline may also have a January deadline that may be called the regular decision deadline. There may be as well an early decision 2 deadline in January. Early decision and early action are similar in that the student who uses either of these options would expect an earlier admissions decision. However, one important distinction is that the student who applies as an early decision candidate is making a commitment to attend that college. Because of that commitment, the college may be more likely to accept the student. Colleges that offer early action options sometimes place restrictions on what a student may do when applying to other colleges. For example, a college that offers early action may say, if you apply to us as an early action candidate, you may not apply to any other school as an early decision candidate. Different schools may have different restrictions, so the student who is applying as an early action candidate should review the website of that college to ascertain what restrictions, if any, are placed on early action candidates. Students may also encounter the terms rolling and priority in the application process. A school that offers rolling admissions may not have a hard deadline, but may accept applications throughout the year as long as openings remain in the incoming freshman class. Students may apply when they're ready to apply to a rolling school and may receive decisions at different times. Again, though, because openings would be more numerous in the early part of the year, students that apply in that early part of the year may increase their chances of gaining admission. A priority deadline is a recommended but not final deadline. Students who meet the priority deadline may improve their chances of earning admission and/or a scholarship. Next, we will discuss the various criteria that colleges use when making admissions decisions. The importance of these criteria may vary from school to school. For example, a large college may base decisions primarily on numbers. What is the student's GPA? What are the student's test scores? On the other hand, a smaller school may take a more personalized approach and offer interviews and consider carefully the student's applications, essays, recommendations, and extracurricular activities. While different schools may again adopt different approaches to making decisions, consistently the most important factor, not surprisingly, would be a student's grades. A second important factor is the strength of a student's courses. Honors and AP courses more closely resemble the kinds of courses that students will take in college. When a student applies to a college, often the college will ask the student's counselor to assess the rigor of that student's high school course load. Did the student take the most demanding course load possible? Or was the load very demanding, or average, or below average? In recent years, test scores have been de-emphasized in the admissions process. One factor has been COVID-19, which has limited opportunities for students to take the SAT or ACT. Students and parents may wish to review the Fair Test website. This website lists more than 1,800 colleges that have adopted test optional policies for current seniors. Of these 1,800 plus schools, more than 1,400 have already extended the test optional policies to current juniors. Therefore, this year's juniors may find that when they are applying to colleges as seniors, most or all of their schools will be test optional. As I stated when discussing the summer, students who work on applications before September give themselves the best opportunity to prepare these documents carefully and thoughtfully. Counselors and English teachers are always available to assist students in preparing applications and providing feedback on essays. Not all colleges offer interviews, but especially those students who possess strong interpersonal skills should attempt to schedule interviews when available. Before an interview, a student should anticipate the kinds of questions that he or she may be asked and prepare well thought out answers to these questions. For example, the student will likely be asked, "Why are you interested in this school? Why are you and the school a good match? For what reason should the school accept you?" In regard to extracurricular activities, the main point to be made here is that quality is more important than quantity. Students may involve themselves in a large number of activities, but that involvement at times may be characterized as superficial. Much more impressive would be devoting oneself to a smaller group of activities, but demonstrating true commitment over time and accepting leadership roles in those activities. I discussed previously how holding a job can exhibit a student's strong work ethic, firm sense of responsibility, high level of maturity, and leadership skills, and strengthen college applications. In regard to recommendations, schools may require as few as none or as many as 3. Rutgers, for example, wants no letters from any teacher or counselor. Other schools may require 1 counselor letter and 2 letters from teachers. I will say on behalf of my colleagues that the members of the HMHS counseling department spend a great amount of time writing the best recommendation letters possible. We gather information from the students themselves, the students' parents and teachers, and we combine that information with our own insights to write comprehensive letters that discuss a student's goals, achievements, and personal qualities. If students need or require recommendations from teachers, students should ask the teachers for those letters by the end of the current school year. The reason for that timing is that some teachers prefer to write letters in the summer when they may have more time for this task. Another factor that may help our students in the admissions process is our school's profile. Let's go to the HMHS website and go down the page until we find a link to the school profile. The school profile contains a description of the town of Haddonfield, along with Haddonfield Memorial High School. The profile highlights the achievements of our students in academics and extracurricular activities, shows how our students outperform students from other parts of the country on the SAT, lists our graduation requirements along with our honors and AP courses, and indicates the percentages of recent graduating classes that have attended 4-year and 2-year colleges. This profile clearly illustrates that Haddonfield students have been well prepared for the academic rigors of college life. The next factor I will discuss, we have labeled geographic and other considerations. Factors that may not seem related to a student's qualifications may play a role in some admissions decisions. For example, colleges may seek a diverse student body with individuals from a variety of geographic, socioeconomic, cultural, and ethnic backgrounds. Let's suppose the two students are both applying to a school in New Jersey. One of those students is from New Jersey, while the other student lives in Montana. The student who lives in Montana may have an advantage in the admissions process because that school receives many more applications from New Jersey students. As another example, let's suppose that another student and I are both applying to a particular school. The other student may be more qualified than I am, but my father attended the school and gave a large donation to the school. So now that school's campus has a building with my name on it. It may seem unfair that the other student who is more qualified may not receive the same consideration that I will in the admissions process. Finally, those students that intend to pursue majors in visual or performing arts may need to submit a portfolio or audition for their major. Certainly, the quality of the portfolio or audition may be a major factor in the admissions decision. Next, I will discuss the various responsibilities of the student, the counselor, and the teacher in the application process. I hope that one of the major takeaways of this evening's program has been that students will receive a high level of support from counselors and teachers. The student will have in this application process 3 main jobs. Number 1, the student must apply and meet the deadlines of the schools of interest. Number 2, if the school requires test scores, or if the student is choosing to send scores to a test optional school, it is the student's responsibility to submit those scores. In some cases, scores may be self-reported on an application, while in other cases, schools may require that students send scores directly from the SAT or ACT website. A third responsibility for the student is to communicate clearly with his or her counselor and teachers. The counselor needs to be aware of what colleges the student is applying to and what deadlines the student is attempting to meet. Likewise, the teachers need to be aware of the deadlines by which they need to submit their recommendations. Counselors send to colleges 4 different kinds of documents. Number 1, we send a student's grades. When the student first applies to a college, we will submit a transcript that includes grades from the freshman, sophomore, and junior years. The transcript will also list the classes a senior is taking at that time. In the middle of the senior year, we send mid-year reports so colleges can see how students have been progressing academically during the first half of that year. At the end of the year, the counselors send final reports to the colleges students will be attending. Students may also ask the counselors to send grades at other times. For example, if a student is applying as an early decision candidate and meeting a November deadline, that student may receive an admissions decision by late December. If we wait until the mid-year to send a mid-year report, that is too late because the college has made the decision before receiving those mid-year grades. The student, therefore, that applies as an early decision candidate may, in this case, ask the counselor to send grades at the end of the first quarter. We send, in addition to grades, those letters of recommendation we spend so much time writing, the school profile that I showed you on the HMHS website, and school report forms that provide information that enable colleges to interpret a student's record. Finally, the main responsibility of the teacher is to submit recommendations by the deadlines the students have specified. Teachers must also prepare, along with recommendations, forms that provide background information such as how long the teacher has known the student and in what courses the teacher has taught the student. My final topic is creating your college list. According to traditional wisdom, there are 3 categories of colleges, and students, when creating a list, should include schools from each category. Let's suppose that I am an A student with a 1300 on the SAT. I'm interested in a certain school, and according to the scattergram in Naviance, this school typically accepts A+ students with a 1400 or better on the SAT. Because the typically accepted students at that school have a stronger academic profile than I do, that school may be a reach for me. Let's say I apply to a second school, which is looking for students like me to have an A average and a 1300 on the SAT. However, because this second school may accept only 10 to 15% of the applicants, I might call that school unpredictable just because the acceptance percentage is so low. However, if I apply to a school that again is looking for A students with a 1300, and in this case may accept half of the students or more, because of that higher acceptance percentage, I may consider that school a probable or good match school. Finally, using my example of an A student with a 1300, if that student applies to a college that usually accepts B students with a 1200, the student with an A average and 1300 may consider that school a foundation or safety school. Thank you for your kind attention this evening. I now wish to introduce my colleague, Elizabeth Cranston, who will present her perspective as not only a counselor, but also a parent.